Hello, I'm Sam. I'm an occupational therapist with KTL Therapy. Today I am here talking to you about everything related to bilateral coordination. Now, if that's not a phrase you've heard before, it is definitely something that you should become familiar with, as it is important from a child development standpoint and success in the classroom as children get older. So, bilateral coordination is the act of using both of your hands at the same time when you're doing a particular activity. And in a moment, I will go over some activities that are my favorite. But in the meantime, the reason that you should care about bilateral coordination and want to know more and how to incorporate these types of activities into your everyday routine and play with your child is because in order to do them, you have to use both sides of your brain, the left hemisphere and the right hemisphere. If you are able to use both hands cohesively to complete a task, that means that those sides of your brain are integrating and being used in an appropriate manner. It's something that we learn very early on as babies often will clap things together, or if you give them two objects, they'll bang them together. Clapping hands is always a great activity, especially with songs. And then as children get older, they learn that they don't have to only bring their hands together. They can also use their hands in separate ways to accomplish a task. So now I am going to review my favorite activities with you. Starting with the basics. So I will start with a ball. Balls are wonderful. Balloons, I love balloons, especially if you're stuck in the house and don't want your children to knock everything over in your house. Anytime it involves catching or having to throw with two hands, oftentimes children will first learn to throw, especially bigger balls, with two hands. The other thing that we can also do with balls that requires both hands is to roll them, to knock over. You can play a game of bowling to have to roll the ball, things like that. So that's really good with balls. Another one that I love is, I have them all sitting here, you just can't see them yet, is lacing cards. So this is one that I kind of semi-started. Actually, maybe I didn't, maybe someone else did, but you get the understanding. With a lacing card, you can take the shoestring or whatever it is that you have and place it in the holes, because in order to do that, you have to use both hands. So my right hand is holding the objects and my left hand is threading the lace through. Little kids love to do this, although it is a little difficult. So probably I would say the 4 to 5 year old range, some 3-year-olds, depending on things that they enjoy doing. Anytime that you're having kids do activities like this, though, it's just important as the parent to make it look fun. Make it look as fun as you can. You could even play a game. So after we complete the task and put the lace through all of the holes, then we can act like our horses are racing or whatever you're lacing. This I actually got from the Target dollar section. It's my favorite. I go there every time that I'm at the store. They tend to have ones that are themed for whatever the season, whether it's Easter or Halloween, etc. You can also make these on your own using cardboard and a hole punch with some leftover shoestring if that's something that you're interested in as well, to save on money. The other one that I really like is called a pop tube. This is what it is. They are very, very inexpensive. I actually found them at the grocery store, in like the toy area of the grocery store. The last time I was there, I took them all, so don't go to my grocery store, but it's a place to look. I know they sell them on Amazon as well. The purpose of a pop tube is a child can I'm putting my fingers in it, but a child can either grasp it and pull like this, or they can push it together. It does make a loud sound, so if you have a child that's very sensitive to loud, sudden noises, this may not be their thing. It also requires a lot of effort to pull it apart and then to push it back together. Kids love it. I've never met a child that doesn't, who is not sensitive to loud noises. Another thing is with stickers. So let me find my stickers. Where did I put them? There they are. So there are the foam stickers like this that have the paper on the back. I will peel it so that it's easier to see. You can see that. And I actually have a video that I will show you shortly of my son playing with these as well. This is a really great activity because, again, it requires me to hold steady with my one hand and pull the paper off with another. And then you can put them on paper, on any surface really that you're allowing your children to put it on. Another one is also using stickers from a sheet. So here I have a bunch of smiley faces. I'll turn it right side up for you. All of these smiley faces are not easy to get off. A lot of kids have a hard time with it, but again, the act of holding it down and then pulling the sticker off is a really good activity as well. Put that on my paper. If kids have a difficult time with stickers, you can kind of get it started for them. I oftentimes do that with my clients and then also my own children. On the area of stickers and coloring, I loved coloring for many reasons. You are basically a child is forced, especially if you're coloring on paper on a table, the child has to hold the paper still to then be able to color. I have my piece of paper right here that I am drawing on, so I have to hold it and then color. This is a highlighter for the sake of visual. In order to take the cap off, you have to again be able to hold it still and pull it off. Anytime you have to take a cap off of something, whether it's a highlighter or a marker or the Play-Doh container, that's a really good activity. Oftentimes as parents, we tend to do those kinds of things for our children, but the more that we can let them try to problem solve and figure it out on their own, the better. So speaking of Play-Doh, I love Play-Doh for many reasons. I have some right here. Again, the act of taking the lid off like I was talking about earlier, but the other thing that I really like Play-Doh for, and I will try to take some out as a visual, is working on stabilizing and then holding and pinching. And then when we're pinching, we can roll it around in our hand, kind of do some in-hand manipulation is what we call that in therapy. And then we're making rocks, and you can just continue to make rocks. Or we can make food for our dinosaur, any sort of pretend play. Play-Doh is really good for that open-ended play. The other thing that I love Play-Doh for is being able to take it in your hand, roll it in the other hand like this. This is not something that is easy for younger kids to do, but it's definitely a good skill to learn. You can also do this when you're cooking with your child, making cookie dough or things of that nature as well if you wanted to. But I also love Play-Doh for that. And then also finally, besides making a ball, rolling it out and making a worm or a caterpillar. This wasn't really good. You can also do it on the table, but I like it when children have to do it with their hands, because this way you're kind of forcing them to learn to use both hands at the same time to complete the activity. And there's my caterpillar, worm, whatever you want to make it. The other thing is being able to cut the Play-Doh. If you have play scissors or a play knife, again, stabilizing it and cutting it is a great activity. That's Play-Doh. I also really like kinetic sand for that reason. If you've ever heard of it, it's wonderful. Try some. The other ones are ripping paper. I love activities involving ripping. I've never met a kid that doesn't like to rip paper if they're given the opportunity. I usually try to make it functional by making a collage. So we rip some construction paper. This is just white paper that I had, but you would rip the construction paper, and then also using a glue stick or some Elmer's glue, the child then has to apply some glue and put it on. All good tabletop activities. Finally, another one I like to tell parents is with water. So these cups right here I have sitting here. So anytime you can engage with water, the better. I often like to work on maybe while using the water table out in the yard or at the swimming pool in the summertime, in the bathtub especially, is just to work on pouring water from one container to the next, because again, I'm stabilizing here and I'm pouring. So pouring water, and then you can dye the water to make it more fun. You can put beads in it, to have floating objects, water beads if you had options or had access to that. I think the other thing that I like to explain to parents is when you're doing fine motor activities specifically related to using both hands, so bilateral coordination, any self-care activity usually involves that. So that would include zippers, buttons, putting toothpaste on your toothbrush, tying your shoes for older children. The other ones I like to talk about are washing the dishes, helping to put the dishes away. Again, if you're washing the dishes, you have your brush or your washcloth and you're holding the dish and scrubbing. That's a really good activity. Anything that gets the child to understand that, hey, my left hand can work separate from my right hand. That helps the child to develop those skills so that when they are in school, they have a better understanding of cutting, coloring, things of that nature, along with the other academic skills that are required.
I can do it.
Okay, here, Mommy's gonna start it. Can you peel it now? Yeah, you got it. Great job.
In conclusion, as you could see, my son struggled a little bit with putting the sticker on the paper and by taking the paper backing off of the sticker before he placed it on his construction paper. It's important to let our children learn to struggle, to help them with their problem solving skills, and to also understand what they need to do to complete a task. If your child's asking you to help them, please help them. Don't ignore them. Don't tell them, no, you have to struggle. That's not our intention ever as parents, to make them mad. So if they're asking you for help, please help. Maybe just figure out how much help you can provide instead of just doing the task for them. If you have any other questions, feel free to reach out to us. My email is samantha@ktltherapy.com. Thank you. Have a great day.